Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive financial shift that's quietly brewing right now within the Indian government, the 8th Central Pay Commission. If you're looking for a really clear, visual breakdown of exactly how this commission is going to reshape salaries and pensions, you are in the perfect place. We're going to map out the entire journey of this new paycheck, all the way from the bureaucratic drawing board directly into your bank account.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the stakes here, they are absolutely massive. Over 1 crore central government employees and pensioners are eagerly waiting to see the fate of their new paychecks. For these folks, the decisions being made over the next year and a half won't just slightly adjust their income, it's going to completely redefine their financial future, their retirement plans, and honestly, their daily lives.
Section 1. Enter the 8th Pay Commission. To really understand where we're headed, we've got to start with the Commission's strict timeline. This temporary body has been given an incredibly complex job, replacing the existing pay matrix and building a brand new salary structure for the entire government workforce. The wheels actually started turning back in October 25 when the Cabinet approved the terms of reference. By November, the Commission was formally constituted. And recently, on March 31, 2026, a dedicated window for public consultation on the MyGov portal officially closed. So now, the clock is ticking. The Commission has a strict 18-month window from its constitution to finalize their report, putting their ultimate deadline squarely in mid-2027.
Section 2. Decoding the fitment factor. Now that we've got the timeline down, let's get into the absolute core mechanics of how your new paycheck is actually built. It all revolves around one specific mathematical concept, the fitment factor. So what exactly is it? Well, the fitment factor is the crucial multiplier used by the Pay Commission to transition your existing basic pay into the new structure. This is literally the key to understanding how much salaries will jump. You just take your current basic pay, multiply it by this single number, and boom, you've got your new starting salary.
To put this math into perspective, during the 7th Pay Commission, a uniform fitment factor of 2.57 was applied across the board. However, current baseline projections, which are based on inflation rates and the Consumer Price Index, are pointing towards a fitment factor of 2.28 for the 8th Pay Commission. And in the world of government salaries, let me tell you, even tiny decimal shifts in this multiplier change the whole shebang when it comes to the final payout.
Applying just that baseline 2.28 multiplier transforms the entire pay matrix. It cascades all the way from entry-level Level 1 employees right up to the Level 18 Cabinet Secretary equivalents. It's really just a single, elegant mathematical operation that dictates the financial realities of millions of people.
Section 3. Calculating the minimum wage.
But where does the baseline for this matrix actually come from? It isn't just pulled out of thin air, right? It's calculated using what's known as the Dr. Aykroyd formula, aligned with the 15th Indian Labor Conference norms. This formula calculates a living wage based on the literal daily necessities required for a standard 3-member family. We are talking about grams of rice, dal, vegetables, milk, meters of clothing, and everyday housing costs.
When you map out this literal grocery and expense list, adding up the cost of food, clothing, housing, and essentials at current retail prices, the total comes to approximately 40,798 rupees. Rounded off, this gives us a projected minimum pay of 41,000 rupees. And that 41,000 rupee floor, that's exactly what leads to the 2.28 fitment factor projection we were just talking about.
Section 4. What are unions demanding? But here's where the plot definitely thickens. While the baseline economic math points to one set of numbers, the various employee unions have their own very strong perspectives. Let's look impartially at the demands from the National Council Joint Consultative Machinery, or NCJCM, which is the main body representing central government employees. They've firmly rejected that 41,000 rupee projection. Instead, they are demanding a minimum basic pay of 69,000 rupees. To get there, they're asking for a much higher fitment factor of 3.833. On top of that, they're pushing hard for the withdrawal of the national pension system and the complete restoration of the old pension scheme.
This push is entirely grounded in the staff side's official memorandum submitted to the 8th CPC. They argue that a modern minimum wage calculation absolutely has to account for things like technological expenditures and other modern necessities. That's what drives their calculation up to that 69,000 rupee mark, justifying the 3.833 multiplier.
But wait, there's also a completely contrasting viewpoint within the workforce itself. The Indian Railway Technical Supervisors Association has submitted a totally different proposal. They argue that a one-size-fits-all uniform fitment factor just shouldn't be used at all.
Because technical and safety category employees face hazardous job conditions and very unique responsibilities, they're proposing a sliding scale. We're talking a 2.92 factor for entry levels, scaling all the way up to a massive 4.38 factor for the highest levels.
Section 5. Implementation and arrears timeline.
So with all these competing formulas and memorandums in play, how does this actually resolve? This leads directly to the high-stakes question on the mind of every single government employee and pensioner right now. It's one thing to calculate a new salary on a whiteboard, right? But it's entirely another to know when those funds will actually hit your bank account. When will the arrears actually be paid out?
Let's walk through the required bureaucratic steps. First up, the 8th CPC has to submit its final report by mid-2027. Then, experts suggest it'll take a group of ministers another 3 to 6 months to review and approve it, which pushes actual implementation into late 2027. So the really crucial point is this. Traditionally, the effect of this commission is expected to kick in on January 1, 2026. Because the approval happens well after this date, employees will be owed months of back pay. This is what we call arrears.
To quickly demystify how that lump sum is calculated, it's actually a pretty simple formula. You just take the newly approved 8th CPC basic pay, subtract your old 7th CPC basic pay, and multiply that difference by the number of months the implementation was delayed past January 2026. But remember, that very first number, your new basic pay, is entirely dependent on which fitment factor gets chosen.
Which brings us to our final big question to wrap up today's explainer. Will the government stick to the baseline economic math of 2.28? Are they going to yield to the widespread union demands for a 3.833 multiplier? Or will they maybe adopt a tiered system like the railway technical staff proposed? This tug-of-war is happening right now, behind closed doors. Until the Commission releases its final report, the exact size of that future paycheck remains one of the most highly anticipated secrets in the country. Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.